Hello guys. Welcome to Diablo the Primordial. This video is the continuation video after Rumina's secret attack. So if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. And please check out my second channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates. Death Giants, that were one size larger than the Death Knights. Their fighting power greatly surpassed the power they had whilst alive. Not only from their body's own properties, they also had enormous energy as the souls of the Death Giants gathered as one. Originally, they would lose their regeneration ability when they become zombie, but this trait is kept as is. They were reborn as monsters with fighting power over a rank which surpasses even the Death Knights. Though, since there were many bodies which weren't completely usable, the number of the created Death Giants were only about 1,000. But it was plenty sufficient. The created Death Giants attacked the other giants who were their former comrades. Even though Adalman's magic power had run out after using Healing Rain, he already stood up as if there was no problem. Once he had glanced around for an instant and made sure that the Death Giant had begun to rampage, he turned his eyes to Fen, who was trampling upon his army. "Wenti, are you okay?" "Yes, I have been careless." Wenti, who quietly turned into her human form, answered Adalman's question. Although it was true that she had received severe damage, her recovery finished at the same time she transformed herself into human form. It was only usable once a day, but the super recovery is activated due to the change of her body constitution. No, you're not careless, it's just that small stature giant is strong. Your being alright is more important. From what I see, that giant has a body with unbelievably dense energy. Looks like he has holy attribute, magic won't work on him. Had we not changed our attribute into holy attribute, we would have been purified. Adalman spoke of the facts plainly. Like a magician, Adalman's eyes, which looked at Fen, were like those of a researcher. Even so, that giant is too strong. Combat speed, destructive power, and defense power. Looking from many aspects, he's top class. If you only see the amount of his energy, he's equal to a true dragon. Even if Adalman sent giant skeletons against him, they would only be smashed up. Good grief. It seems that it's time for my long-trained body. Huh? At Adalman's confusing words, the death dragon Wenti, who had pledged her loyalty to Adalman, let out a questioning voice. Not to mention body, Adalman doesn't even have flesh. He can only be the so-called skeleton. Answering Wenti's question. It seems that I haven't told you about it. When I took the position of Great Priest, my job was different. Originally, I was a high-ranking class of priest and martial artist which was called Holy Fist Monk. Because there was Albert, who is an excellent vanguard, I didn't need to perform close-range combat. When I fought against you before, I didn't think that it would be effective against you who had no human form, so there were no opportunities to show my skills, you see. Well, but that, you don't say, you intend to fight against that giant barehanded? What, is there a problem? Aren't there various problems though? Or so Wenti thought, but she couldn't say it strongly. She was his longtime acquaintance, but she had never seen Adalman's figure as that of someone who had trained his body. Well, is there any meaning to train as a skeleton? So, she was troubled whether to even ask about it. No, Wenti couldn't answer. For Adalman-sama, who seems to be an intellectual, unexpectedly. She stopped thinking further about it and turned her eyes towards the rampaging Fen. Alright, then, I will tell you the strategy. As magic doesn't work, hit with physical attacks, it's just that. Even your breath, which could cause magic essence diversion, would be treated as magic. Therefore, you and me, who have no means with which to attack, our compatibility with him is horrible. So, here's a suggestion. Saying so, Adalman began to talk about his plan. It was something outside of Wenti's imagination. However, Wenti, who believes in Adalman, agreed without any hesitation. I leave the rest to you, Adalman-sama. May fortune be with you. So she replied with that answer as she relaxed her body. The plan that Adalman proposed was assimilation with possession. Originally, Adalman, as a ghost, is more like a spiritual life form. It could be said that his current state is merely him possessing his dead body. The reason is because he needs a temporary body in order to have influence in the physical world. Therefore, he can easily perform possession. If Wenti doesn't resist him, it would certainly succeed. The problem was, it was unknown whether they could separate or not. Be relieved. Even if I possess you, it doesn't mean your consciousness will disappear. In the worst case, we'll ask Rimuru-sama to prepare you a new body. And so, Adalman possessed Wenti. A death dragon has a strong body, high magical power, and energy. In addition to that, is Adalman's own magic power. The possession succeeded. A young man with black hair, clad in jet black priest clothes, made his appearance. Fumu, it was a success. As expected of Adalman-sama. The two became one in mind and body. With a strong body and possessing enormous magic power, it was the youth figure of Gehenna Lord, Adalman. Though there were some differences such as the hair color being different and etc. Fufu, I'm excited after a long time. If it's in this state, I might have a good fight against Zijin Dono. I seem to have become an equal with Ultima Ju. In his skeleton state, he recalled that he couldn't have an exchange of fists with his friend. And so, a fearless smile floated on his face as he flew towards the rampaging giant. He didn't believe that he could beat the giant as it was now, but he could buy some time. Besides, though the giant in front of him is an incarnation of violence, it doesn't seem that he has high skills like the one fighting against Albert. Although the giant has energy comparable to a true dragon, he can only rampaging without reason. For him to aim at Adalman first may have been because he had reacted towards the one having the highest energy in the army. In that case, we might just defeat him if we perform well. It will naturally be possible, if it's Adalman-sama. Reacting to Wenti's thought in his mind, though Adalman was slightly surprised, he nodded frankly. That's so, that's right. Because I am one of Rimuru-sama's strongest subordinates. And so he charged towards Fen while laughing happily. The 7 celestial sages had finished the reconnaissance mission and reported it to Demon Lord Ruminas. Afterwards, they followed Ruminas, who came to the outer district area in order to confront the giants. And so they would encounter a surprising situation. There exists a knight who can fight Grassword, who has been called the strongest Sword King that ever existed, on equal terms. The attack of Ruminas, who is their master whom they adore and respect, hadn't worked against Demon Lord Dagruel. And the last thing, a person, with a nostalgic face that they remember seeing somewhere, having started a battle against a rampaging giant who was like a berserker, on equal terms. These 3 events were things that happened almost at the same time. What the heck is this? To be fighting evenly against the Sword King, who is that knight? This is bad. As it is now, Ruminas-sama will lose. Hey, wait, that person, surely. Adalman, isn't he Adalman? Really? Then, that knight is Albert. Those two are Demon Lord Rimuru subordinates. What the heck is this joke? Thinking at the same time, the 7 celestial sages exchanged the information each of them found. And sharing all of the information at once, they were wrapped in surprise. Adalman and Albert were famous in the past. Adalman, who was the great priest, was a talented master of holy magic. Then, Albert was the strongest holy knight of the previous generation. The two were people who had the qualifications to become the hero. But the hero's egg hadn't dwelled inside either of them. Normally, they'd become sages. And, as it was, they'd eventually become saints. If they couldn't be the hero, they only became unnecessary people for the 7 celestial sages. Furthermore, they were both too much of geniuses. They hadn't accepted Rumina's mind rule, as they were affiliated to the Church of Ingrasia Kingdom without staying in the Holy Capital. In other words, according to the 7 celestial sages, the two had been a two-edged sword. In ability, the two could become strong individuals which could threaten them, or worse, the two could become existences that would even jeopardize their position. Although the two hadn't seemed to notice the existence of Demon Lord Ruminas, it was certain that the two had some kind of doubts about it. Whilst admitting the ability of those two, to they who wouldn't become their comrades, the 7 celestial sages had manipulated the Pope and ordered for them to do the purification of a large-scale undead disaster. It was officially announced as an indirect subjugation request, but the two people had strong senses of justice and bit the bait splendidly. The two willingly went to Great Jura Forest. And there, the two would perish while bringing down the dragon zombie together as the 7 celestial sages had planned, or it should have been. It can't be, for him to be alive. It was the same thought for all of the 7 celestial sages. Well, what should we do? That's the question. Right now, it's almost impossible to defeat Adalman and Albert. Besides, in this situation we don't have such free time as to have internal conflict. That is so. It would be excellent if the two beat both of the giants. If they lose, we won't be safe. That's right, we are to only help the princess. I agree. About those two, let's think about it after they survive. The 7 celestial sages decided on their plan. Without using any underhanded plans, as the situation was a pressing one. They threw away their wicked thoughts and moved to attack the enemy as according to the initial plan. They had, in their own ways, began their action in order to help Demon Lord Ruminas, who is their respected and adored master. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And Merry Christmas to you all. And if you guys have not watched my earlier videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And please check out my other channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.